Okay, Clay here, and I am going to be painting some Hormagaunts. Now, when it comes to the basic troops for the Tyranids, you're going to have a lot of basic troops, so if you can spray them, this was used a Skull White primer, and then I used the Mephiston Red spray, and that's going to save you a ton of time in getting them base coated all one color. Alright, so for the next step, I am going to use Carroburg Crimson shade, and this is going to kind of dry in the cracks and recesses and really kind of bring out the detail of the miniature. And so when it comes to the shade, it's pretty easy. You just put it on there, and you can just kind of go around the miniature like this, and the shade's going to dry in the cracks and recesses. You want to get under here. And I really like the new Citadel Miniatures shades. They just work great to really bring out the detail of the miniature. So that's going to be that step there, is putting on the Carroburg Crimson shade. Okay, so the red Carroburg Crimson shade has dried, and it's time for doing a couple highlights. Now again, because these are basic Tyranid troops, I want to do it quick and easy and fast, so I'm going to use the large dry brush by Citadel. So this big brush is just going to make it quick and easy. So my first highlight is going to be Evil Sun Scarlet, and I'm just going to dip the brush in there, wipe some off on a paper towel because we're going to do some dry brushing here, and then I'm going to take my miniature with the shade has dried, and you just go over it like this, and it's going to catch the raised edges if you just kind of do it nice and quick, and it's going to leave the darker colors in the recesses for detail. Now I'm not really doing too much with the carapace here because my paint scheme is Hive Fleet Behemoth, and I'm going to be painting the carapace black, and so I'm just going to try to get the red skin. And alright, so that's the first highlight. Now I'll top it off with I'll also add some Wild Rider red, which is even brighter, and that's going to be my final highlight. Now because it's brighter, I'm going to go a little sparingly. I'm just going to use a little bit and dry some off of my paper towel, and just a little bit here. And so again, you're going to see how quick and easy it is to highlight these base troop Tyranids. You just take a large brush and you just brush it on there real quick. Alright, so I'm done with the highlight, and we're going to be ready for the next step shortly. Alright, so the next step is I'm going to paint the carapace black. And with Hive Fleet Behemoth, the carapace is going to be black, and then I'm going to kind of highlight the edges of the carapace with Sotek green. And so I'm just going to take a large brush, and I'm just going to paint that carapace black. And again, it's going to be kind of quick and easy. I'm not going to worry about being too neat here. I don't want to get any of the black color on the red skin, just the carapace, but just going to kind of quickly and easily paint the carapace black, and then after that dries, we're going to highlight it with Sotek green. Alright. Alright, so I have the carapace all painted black, and while I was painting the carapace black, I got a little too much, I kind of came down and got some black on the shoulder there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to touch that up and fix it. And so I'm going to just basically take a little bit of Mephiston Red, and it'll be really easy to just go fix that shoulder. So just like this, and just kind of make that shoulder red and kind of fix that. Alright, so for the carapace, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of highlight the edges with Sotek green. And I'm going to use kind of a feathering or tapping technique, if you want to call it that. And what I'm going to do is I've got some Sotek green on a small brush, and I'm just going to kind of tap it with the flat of the brush along the edge, and that's going to kind of create like a feathered uneven pattern. So I'm just kind of tapping the brush along the edge there, and I'm going to do that for each of the layers of the carapace there. And the really small layers I'm probably just going to use the edge of the brush and not use that tapping technique, but it kind of creates kind of this feathered, kind of uneven pattern that makes it look cool. And so that's what I'm going to do for the carapace, and after that we'll be ready to base this miniature. Alright, so I have the carapace highlighted with the Sotek green, so you can kind of see that pattern on there. And you know, if you just take your miniatures and just kind of base coat them with a nice base, hit it with a shade to dry in the cracks and recesses, give it a highlight or two, you're going to have some pretty cool tabletop looking miniatures, especially if you base them. You know, a real simple paint job when the miniatures are based look great on the battlefield. So we have some great texture paints. This is Astrogranite. It's going to make it real quick and easy to base. And so this texture paint has some little granules in it that's going to add a little texture to the base. And so I'm just going to take this Astrogranite and paint it all over the base. Once the Astrogranite's dry, I'm going to use Nuln Oil on it. That's going to darken it up and kind of bring out more detail. And then I'm going to dry brush lighter color on top, and that's going to be pretty close to the finished base. So you can see how quick and easy that base was. I've got that already covered with Astrogranite. I'm going to let that dry, come back, and we'll be putting some Nuln Oil on top of that. Alright, so the Astrogranite texture paint has dried on the base, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some Nuln Oil, and I'm just going to put this on the bottom of the base, and that's going to kind of darken it a little bit, and it's going to help bring out the detail, especially when I dry brush that lighter color on top. So I'm just going to take a good amount of Nuln Oil and just put that all over the bottom of the base, and after that dries, then I'm going to dry brush on top of it, and you're going to see the cool basing effect that that's going to make. Okay, so the Nuln Oil has dried over the Astrogranite, and so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually dry brush a lighter color over the top, and I'm going to use one of the Citadel dry paints, the Longbeard Gray. And since it's a dry paint, it's designed for dry brushing, and you want to go real sparingly here. You want just a little bit on there because you can always add more. And I'm just going to kind of lightly go across it, and it's going to pick up the little granules in that texture paint, the Astrogranite, and it's going to kind of highlight those and create kind of a cool effect. So that's about it. I had a little bit of Longbeard Gray on this brush, and I'm just kind of brushing that, and it's going to pick up the raised granules there. And now to finish the base, I'm just going to take some Steel Legion Drab and paint that around the edge of the base. And after that, this miniature is going to be ready to do some battling and gaming there. And so I'm just going to take the Steel Legion Drab and just paint that along all the way around the outside of the base. And then, as you can see, this is just a quick, easy, simple paint scheme, and that's what you want for your basic Troops of Tyranid. You just want it to be quick and easy and get to some gaming. And so there's that miniature there, nicely based. And this one is pretty much done and ready to go.